It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Alaska Anchorage Associate Head Volleyball Coach, Coach Stacie Meisner. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to start coaching in college volleyball?
Yeah, it was kind of a slow process for me to get into it. I had initially wanted to be a college English professor, was kind of my track through college. Earned my master's degree in English, and then started working at a nonprofit here in Anchorage. And then there was a position opening to be the GA. I was still playing kind of city league, rec ball, coaching high school, coaching club. Um, still had a really good relationship with Coach Green. So when that position became available, I told him I'd be interested in it, and just kind of went from there.
Of course, what was it like playing for Alaska Anchorage as a player?
Yeah, it was a really great experience for me. Coach Green, I came with him from Western Nebraska Community College, and transferred up here to play my last 2 years. And he was the new head coach here as well. So it was a fun experience to get to come into a program and help kind of turn it around into, a winning program and kind of start that tradition of success that we have seen, over the past, 15 years or so.
What was that experience like getting to put on that Alaska Anchorage jersey?
Yeah, it's something really special, I think, about playing for Alaska is that, you really are representing the entire state. And as a Division II athlete, that's not something that is always the case because you kind of have these other bigger programs, Division I programs, maybe professional sports programs, that, the state is looking to represent them. But here in Alaska, we have, it's us, Alaska Anchorage, and then it's Alaska Fairbanks. And so our community really looks to UAA student athletes to represent them as a state. So I feel like that's something that's really special, for a Division II athlete, to experience.
Of course, what is that experience like, obviously representing the state as a Division II athlete?
Yeah, it's really fun. The whole community really supports our program, and loves coming to watch, us play. And that was something I always really enjoyed as a student athlete, was just having that big community support, and filling our gym with fans. It's a great environment to play in front of, and makes playing the game and competing, just that much more exciting.
What were some of your accomplishments as a player?
Yeah, so I was the libero for both years that I was up here at Alaska Anchorage. And so I think I'm still up there on some of the stat leader, top 10. I don't really keep track of it too much now, except to kind of see what our players are doing. But I know I was up there in digs per set, as far as libs go. Only playing here 2 years, maybe not as high as other players, maybe on some of the career statistics. But yeah, I did okay.
Of course, how is it like getting into coaching and coaching first on the high school level?
Yeah, that was really fun. I think that getting into, the high school level here in Alaska, really helped me as a coach just hone in on teaching volleyball. There was, I think, a lot of opportunity to help kids grow and develop at that level. And it was really just a lot of fun getting to connect with those kids, and just help them get better at volleyball, for the short time that you get to coach them. And they're excited to be out there, excited to be on the court, during their high school season.
What were some of your experience as the grad assistant for your alma mater?
Yeah, being the grad assistant, I think is just all about kind of being a sponge. and soaking up as much as you can from, your head coach, from your assistant coach, and learning about parts of the game that you don't really think about maybe as much as a player. Really honing in on your teaching skills, and just trying to learn as much as possible, while you're in that role, so that you can try to prepare yourself to, take that next step in your coaching career, if that's something that you want to do.
Of course, how did your experience as a grad assistant help you into getting that full-time job as an assistant coach?
Yeah, I think just being familiar with the program, having that good relationship with Coach Green already. He has known me for a long time. I've known him for a long time. So it's helped make that, that working relationship really strong, that we can, be honest with each other and communicate well and kind of know what the other is thinking. Yeah.
What was it like, obviously, when you got the job as the assistant coach as a full-time coach?
Yeah, I was really excited. When I had started as the GA, I kind of knew that the former assistant, that this was kind of, that Alaska Anchorage was kind of a stepping stone for him. So I think I kind of knew in the back of my head that the opportunity would come to be the full-time assistant at some point. It just came a little bit sooner than I was maybe anticipating, but I was thrilled. I love living in Alaska, so the fact that I can live here in a place that I love and do a job that I love makes me feel really fortunate. So it's pretty exciting. It was also kind of maybe nerve-wracking. I knew that I kind of had to step up as a coach, and, increase in my skill level as a coach and a teacher to make sure that I was doing everything I could to help make our team better.
How is that experience like, taking your dream job of coaching at the Anchorage and your alma mater, and what has it been like for you coaching at your dream job?
Yeah, I couldn't ask for more, right? I think a lot of people, that want to get into coaching, have to maybe take jobs that, they isn't their exact right fit, but they've got to get their foot in the door somewhere. And I feel just really fortunate that I have had the opportunity to be in a program that, has that tradition of success, in a program that I love and have a strong connection to, and is in a place where, I love to live and I love having my life here in Anchorage. So to be able to kind of have all of that together, and have this be my full-time job, I got to pinch myself sometimes. It doesn't seem like it should maybe be real, but it is, and it's definitely not something I ever take for granted.
What are some of the things so far you've accomplished on the coaching side?
Yeah, so this is my fourth season, full time. You know, uh, our teams have been successful. We've made it to the NCAA tournament the last two times we've had it. Obviously there was kind of that gap year in there with COVID. We're number 9 in the country right now. So as far as volleyball goes, we've been able to be successful. A lot of that credit goes, to Coach Green, our head coach, and to the players, obviously. They're the ones putting in the work on the court. I just try to help guide them as best I can. And, it's just always my goal to make them into the best volleyball player that they can be while they're here. And as long as I can do that, then I can be pretty happy about what they're doing on the court.
What does a typical game day look like as a player versus now as a coach?
Yeah, as a player, game days are always really exciting. You do your serve pass practice, you get maybe a little pregame meal, and then you're just kind of relaxing and focusing until the game starts. And then you get a step on the court, and the game is in your hands when you're a player. It's a really exciting time. I think as a coach, I'm more nervous than I ever was as a player because I don't have control over what's going on the court. And that's the way it's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be in the players' hands. But as a coach, it can be pretty nerve-wracking because, you've got to really put it all on the players to execute, and that they put into place, your game plan, things that you've been working on in practice. But it's always exciting and rewarding to see, your team go out and accomplish the things that you're working towards, day after day.
What was that first feeling like as a player getting to step on the court, and now what was that feeling like as an associate head coach for your alma mater stepping on that same court?
Yeah, as a player, when I first came in, man, that was a long time ago, so I'm not sure I remember exactly what it felt like. But I think I was always the type of player that just wanted to go out and compete, and play the best that I can, and just help my team by doing my job. As a coach coming back out, as the coach for Alaska Anchorage, I think there's just a lot of pride there, pride in the program, a lot of gratitude to be part of it. And those are the types of, behaviors and just actions that I try to bring, not just every game, but just every day in practice. And I hope that kind of is contagious to our players as well.
Who are some of the teams that you face each week in your conference?
Yeah, so we play 2 teams each week typically. This week's kind of an off week for us because we only have 1 game because we're playing our travel partner. But we play in the Great Northwest Athletic Conference. Really good teams, as far as volleyball goes, maybe one of the tougher conferences in the country. We've got Western Washington, which is probably our biggest competitor. Over the last several years, they've been the conference champion. Central Washington always has a good program. Northwest Nazarene gets good players. Fairbanks, up north, they always have a good team. Who am I missing here? MSU Billings, Western Oregon, St. Martin's, and Simon Fraser in Canada. So that's our conference. Teams typically in the Pacific Northwest, and then you've got Billings out there in Montana.
Of course, what is that like, obviously, during the travel time, traveling to those away games as they're so far apart from each other?
Yeah, it's quite a bit different, than other schools maybe that are busing everywhere. We're flying everywhere. So I think it kind of all comes out even. Yes, we have a long way to travel, but because we're flying everywhere, time spent traveling is maybe about the same as other schools that are, busing or driving, to all of their matches. So it definitely takes a chunk out of our week, traveling every other week. But I think it's something that we all kind of get used to fairly quickly. And our players do a good job of, managing that time and making sure that they stay on top of their classes.
What does a home game look like as a coach?
Yeah, we are pretty lucky here at UAA. We've got the Alaska Airlines Center. It's probably one of the best athletic facilities in Division II sports. And we've got a good fan base that comes out and fills those stands. So for several years, before COVID, we were leading Division II volleyball and fan attendance. Not sure what it is more recently, but we kind of average about 1,000 fans for all of our home games. It's a great environment to play in. It's a beautiful facility. So game days here while we're home, it's really exciting. And I think even for visiting teams, I think it's a really fun environment for everyone to play in.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play college volleyball?
Yeah, I think just in general, if you're a high school student that wants to play college volleyball, I think the important thing is figuring out first, what schools are fitting maybe your academic goals. You've got to really think about, what are you doing after volleyball is over and making sure that you are, going to a school that's going to help you meet those goals. I think once you kind of narrow that down, then you can start looking at the volleyball programs, contacting coaches, being just as proactive as possible is going to help you. I think there's kind of a misconception out there with a lot of players that they think they're just going to go play in these club tournaments and just magically get recruited, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. And I think that, high school student athletes need to really take ownership of that process, and put in some work to find the school that's the good fit for them, both academically and athletically.
Of course, as an associate head coach and the alma mater of the school, what are some of the things that you look at in those prospective student athletes when on the road?
Yeah, so when we're out recruiting at club tournaments, first thing I've got a list of players that have contacted me. And those are the kids that I'm going to go watch first because they've already expressed an interest in, coming to UAA. So, again, kind of reinforcing this idea to kids that you need to be proactive in your recruiting process. But yeah, when I'm out watching players, obviously it depends on the position, but, we're watching everything from your athletic ability to how good of a teammate you are. For hitters, typically we're watching, how high are you jumping and how hard are you hitting. Setters, it's about placement, being consistent. And then defense, liberos, just your good ball control, good serve receive. How much range do you have as a defensive player to get those digs that are, 2 or 3 feet out in front of you. So really just looking at the overall skill of the athlete, and if, they have the physicality, kind of those physical attributes that we're looking for that we know help make us successful. And then after that, once you can kind of identify those athletes, then it's about figuring out, is it a good fit academically? Is it a good fit personality wise? And all of those things that you're, outside of volleyball, making sure it's a good fit there as well.
Of course, what happens on the official visit when you bring those prospective student athletes to Anchorage?
Yeah, so we always try to get them into a practice. It depends what time of year they come on a visit, if we're able to do that or not. But we think that's really important that they get on the court with our players, that they participate in a practice, so that they get a feel for our coaching style, and how we run our practices and kind of what goes on in our gym. We always get them set up with an academic advisor so that they can ask questions about, whatever degree it is they're planning to pursue, talk to faculty, usually a meeting with one of our athletic directors so that they can, ask questions about the athletic department as a whole. And then the usual stuff, campus tour. We take them to some good restaurants, try to show them a little bit of Alaska as well. It's such a beautiful state. So we really try to highlight, the beauty of Alaska, maybe a scenic drive to Girdwood, maybe a little bit of a hike, nothing too intense, but really just giving them a good idea of what it is we have to offer and what it would realistically be like if they choose to be a student here at UAA.
Of course, being an alma mater of the school and a coach, how has that helped you into the recruiting side and showing them that obviously you could do it and you're at the associate head coach level now?
Yeah, I think that definitely helps me with the recruiting process just because, I've lived in Alaska for a long time. So I think that's kind of the biggest part that, recruits have questions about is what it's like living in Alaska. So I'm able to kind of answer those questions, especially as somebody who didn't grow up here, but moved here and then chose to stay. I think I bring a lot to the table as far as being able to address their concerns and kind of explain to them like, hey, like this is what it's like, and just being honest with them about, what it's like to be in Anchorage, and kind of what it's like to be at UAA as well.
Of course, how has it been like having the cold be one of your disadvantages when it comes to recruitment?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a disadvantage. We get kids up here that want to experience winter. They want to see snow. So it's really just all about what the prospective student athlete is looking for. I remember when I came on my visit, that was definitely one of the concerns I had. And And I'll tell you what, I grew up in Nebraska, in Western Nebraska. And I think the winters here in Anchorage are far more enjoyable than winters in Western Nebraska. So, I think there's a lot of uncertainty maybe with recruits about what it's like to be in Alaska, and maybe a lot of assumptions about what it's like here. And so it's really fun getting to maybe explain, like, no, it's not winter year round. We do have a summer. We do have all 4 seasons. It's not -40 all the time. And just kind of getting to share with them what Alaska really is like.
How has it been like, obviously, as the associate head coach, seeing them put on that jersey for the first time and fall in love with the colors that you fell in love with as a player?
Yeah, having that good relationship with our players is, one of my favorite things about coaching. And just getting to see them go from, their first year here to, being a senior and graduating. So the seniors that are graduating this year actually, will be that first group that I coached when they were freshmen, the first year I came back as the GA. So just being able to see that growth and development in them, not just as volleyball players, but as human beings, is just, I think, one of the greatest joys of coaching. And it's something that I really love about being a coach.
What advice would you give those high school athletes looking to play college volleyball?
Yeah, like I said, be proactive in that process. There are tons and tons of volleyball programs out there at the collegiate level, whether you're looking at, junior colleges, NAIA, Division III, Division II, Division I, try to figure out where your skill level fits. And if you really want to play and you work hard, I think that there's a college out there for nearly every athlete who has the kind of determination to find that school that's a good fit.
What advice would you give those college volleyball players that are looking to play college volleyball and then go on to play professionally, whether it's Team USA, Team Canada, or even Athletes Unlimited?
Yeah, I think, take advantage of the time that you have at your college program. It's really one of the only time, you're going to class and you're playing volleyball. So, you feel like, you obviously have a lot of responsibility, but maybe not as much responsibility as you're going to have once you enter your career and start a family and kind of all of those things. So just take advantage of that time, work as hard as you can to get better every single day. Work hard in the weight room to, increase your vertical, to get as strong as you can, to increase your mobility. Every day I think is an opportunity to get better. And if those are your goals, then, you don't take a day off. It's the consistency of training and it's the consistency of practice that is going to help you achieve those goals.
What advice would you give them that are looking to play on the national level, whether it's US, Canada, or even Mexico?
Yeah, for USA volleyball, you've kind of got to get into that pipeline, with those programs that they offer, whether it's going to one of the tryouts that they offer for kind of the junior national teams, or the tryouts for the national team, or they have all the different levels of the national team. So I think, our setter went to one of those tryouts a couple years ago. And so it's just kind of getting in there and, competing and seeing what that level of play is. And if you're at that level of play, great. And if you're not, then, get right back to work, if that's something that's, that you want to achieve.
What advice would you give those college coaches, those future coaches looking to get started in the industry of coaching volleyball?
Yeah, I mean, get in there and do it. I mean, you're not going to get your foot in the door by waiting for the perfect opportunity. Get in there and, coach a club team, go coach a high school team, contact those coaches around you that are successful and see if you can go to one of their practices, see if you can find a coach that's willing to, be your mentor, that you can maybe pick their brain a little bit. do the trainings, go to, USA Volleyball has, capstone or cap trainings, go to AVCA convention. I think the volleyball coaching community is really open to helping each other out and to teaching coaches how to be better. I think it's one of the things I really like about, the coaching community for volleyball. Everyone's willing to share. Everyone's willing to help each other out. It's not like we're all in a corner trying to guard our secrets. Especially the AVCA convention. I try to go to that every year, and it's just an incredible learning opportunity to learn from the best coaches. Coaches at D1 power schools, they're telling you exactly how they run their practices and the things that they're doing in their gym. So just find the opportunities that are available for you and just continue to work on getting better every single day. Just like we ask our players to do. That's something that us as coaches need to do as well.
What advice would you give those people, such as yourself, looking to go back to their alma mater to coach?
Yeah, if that's something that is a goal of yours, start developing relationships maybe with coaches that are already there. Figure out what's important to that school. What are they looking for? And just kind of always keep tabs, I guess, on what's going on in that program. Like I said, I'm lucky enough that I love living here in Anchorage, and that opportunity came up at the right time for me. So maybe it's a little bit luck, but I think that you can take the steps necessary to be prepared, when that opportunity arrives.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Alaska Anchorage volleyball program at?
Yeah, so our website is goseawolves.com. All of our games are live streamed on our YouTube channel, and you can find links to all of those on our schedule. If you're here in Anchorage, definitely come to one of our games. We are trying to break the NCAA record, actually, for attendance for Division II volleyball next Saturday, November 5th. So lots of exciting things happening. But yeah, goseawolves.com. You can find all the information on there.
Thank you again, Coach Stacie, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with Alaska Anchorage as the Associate Head Coach.
Thanks, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Stacie, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Yep. Thanks, Brandon.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.